breaking news. Brock said he won't throw for 3 months from Rappaport interview today. Ooh. Well, that's about 3 months.
That's July.
So he'll start throwing early July. Okay. So that gives him. Yeah, so that's why Kyle Shanahan would say week 4, right? So it would give him maybe till late September, early October to be fully ready. That's why Kyle would say week 4.
It's so funny though, because to listen to Lynch, he makes it sound like all of these estimates are true guesswork, and that he could be back in 5 months, and that it may not be 6 months, and that he was very optimistic about Brock, almost seemingly, like he assumed he was going to be healthy and thought he could be back very, very soon. Where Shanahan seems to be much more like, hey, he may not ever be back. He may, you know what I mean? Or he may. Shanahan's
what's
like
the rush?
The brakes.
He should, given what he and his dad did to RG3. He should be the one pumping the brakes. Learn from the past and what is the rush with Brock Purdy? If it's week 4 or week 1, what's the freaking difference? Like, your team is built, to work around the quarterback position anyway. You start slow anyway. I mean, you're going to be 3-5 no matter what. Like, what is the freaking rush here? He's your future. Be careful.
The thing on the Trey thing that's interesting too is that I get the sense that since they've made their evaluation, all 3 of them, Jed and John and Kyle, that Brock's the guy. You get the feeling that to allow Trey to start the year, they would lose a little control of the situation. Because if he plays really well,
no question,
then they lose control of the situation. Then all of a sudden,
you can't bench him.
Like the quarterback position, it starts to dominate your day to day, and it's like you're basically you're happy to do things for different reasons, and I don't know. It's just it's weird. I get the feeling that Darnold is almost there so they can maintain control, so that either Brock will start or Darnold will start, and you'll go right back to Brock. But if Trey starts and Trey plays well, then it becomes this, well, who are we going to go with? And then maybe some players want this guy and some players say, no, I want that guy. And then media's pushing for this guy and the fans are pushing for that guy. I don't know. I mean, don't you see, if you really believe Brock's your guy, Darnold gives you control of the situation. Trey, it could be, it could be back and forth. It could be, he could play great. He could, you don't know. Where Darnold, I think, is safely going to be not as good as Brock. That's what
I just feel like if you're being honest with yourself, do you believe Brock is your guy? I don't think if you're being honest with yourself, I don't think you can answer that question given the injury he suffered. If he hadn't suffered the injury, you could say, look, I know it's only 8 games, but come on, those are the greatest 8 games ever for a rookie. But he tore his UCL. You don't know what's going to happen next in his career. And I feel like they can be as confident. They can say they believe. They can look at, they don't freaking know if they're being honest with themselves. So, I mean, that's one reason to not trade Trey Lance right now. But if they feel like, hey, we like Sam Darnold too, and if it doesn't work out with Brock, we really legitimately like Sam. All right, well, you better be right about that. You better be freaking right about that at that point. I don't know.
Seriously.
You bet, because if you're wrong, everyone's going to be like, yeah, no freaking does, Sam Darnold.
It's high stakes poker for sure.
High stakes poker.
They're going to have to make a call.
Thanks, Humberto.
Don't you see that, though? That they lose a little control?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what happened.
Seem like the kind of guys who want to control the situation.
Again, if Brock wasn't hurt, by all means, but they can't control his recovery. Fish and Chip says, big news, Grant Cohn traded to Las Vegas, Kyle Shanahan orders. He wishes. Niner Grandpa says, McKee is Mac Jones 2.0, just not good, just tall. I've seen him play in person at Stanford. I wasn't super impressed. UCLA beat him. I'm a UCLA fan. I was rooting against Tanner that day. Also, he wears a freaking shirt underneath his jersey. It looks terrible. So maybe that's part of it.
He's had skin cancer.
It's a bad look.
I know.
It's like the guy wearing the shirt in the shallow end of the pool. Also, he just looks slow, and I like quarterbacks who aren't super slow. But so it's personal preference. He's slow as hell.
But he's got a gun.
He's old school. He's always tall. He's a pocket passer.
He's 6'6" with a freaking howitzer.
Yeah.
And he throws dimes. But there's no
and
mobility.
He played a pro style offense,
and he's not taking any hits. And he's not moving away from the run. The athletes who are rushing the quarterback are too fast.
I like Davis Mills better. than him.
Davis Mills moves better.
It moves
He's-
better. There you go.
better athlete.
Yeah. Steve Poon says trade 3 ones to get time to make accurate evaluation. Take 4 games to make decision that you wrong. That is not a genius. That is not 40 chess. That is FOMO at its worst. Fear of moving. I feel like what happened was Kyle Shanahan got upset with Jimmy Garoppolo at the end of 2020. Remember, Jimmy missed like half a season with a high ankle sprain. Patrick Mahomes just missed 0 games with a high ankle sprain in the playoffs. I think Kyle wanted Jimmy to gut it out. I think Jimmy thought the season was lost. I don't know. I'm guessing. I think Kyle made an emotional decision to get Jimmy. I think the trade was as much about getting another quarterback as it was getting Jimmy out of the franchise quarterback position. Because once you traded up to 3, remember, they didn't trade it up for anyone in particular. They traded up for the spot. Once you made that trade, Jimmy was out. Out. Doesn't matter who you take at that point. You're no longer the franchise quarterback. You're the placeholder, seat warmer. Period. And I think that's what Kyle wanted. I think he'd been saddled with Jimmy Garoppolo for long enough. He wanted Kirk Cousins anyway.
They were in my opinion, they were committed to one thing and one thing only: building a team around a quarterback on a rookie deal. As far as Trey, this quarterback, that quarterback, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, I think they would have been fine with any of them.
You didn't need to trade 3 to do that, though. You didn't need to trade to 3. I feel like they changed their story on that one. You could have taken Mac Jones. You could have taken Davis Mills, and it would have been cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, trading up to 3 made it more expensive. Anyway,
made it more expensive, but also, I mean, it guaranteed that they would get at least a choice of a couple rookie quarterbacks, and they were still in the midst of processing who was the best guy. They hadn't even gone to all the pro days at that point.
Can you imagine if Zach Wilson had been there and they'd taken him, and we had gotten the Zach Wilson experience here, where the whole locker room hates him? Can you imagine if it was Zach Wilson against Jimmy? Jimmy would have it would have been so easy for Jimmy. I mean, Zach Wilson is like disliked straight up, man.
I mean,
wow.
The Jets say that bringing him back is the number 2. I don't buy that at all.
I mean, he already got rejected by his entire team. That needs to be factored into quarterback evaluations more. Like, hey, is the whole team going to hate this guy? And I think that's the thing with Will Levis. I feel like some people are kind of whispering like he's a little weird, and I can see it the way he's a little weird. I don't know. I can see him turning off fans, teammates.
With his posing and all.
Yeah,
that,
look at me kind of stuff. Like, are you that good? Should you really be calling all this attention to yourself? I don't know.
Well, the Zach Wilson thing is interesting though, because when a locker room decides on a player, then that also is a big part of the equation. I mean, every guy in that locker room almost was wearing the
t-shirts.
Yeah, Mike White t-shirts. I mean, that's disaster. And
yeah,
it kind of makes you wonder on the Purdy thing. I mean, it's like if the Niners didn't go with Purdy, what would the reaction be inside their room?
That's true.
There's a lot of guys that he won over at the end of the year with the way he played, or maybe not. Maybe they view him as limited, and I don't know. I don't know how the players view him. I really don't.
Think about it this way: the reality is, some players feel some way, others feel another way, and that's the situation the Niners have created. If you don't give the players one quarterback to rally behind, some will like Brock, some will like Trey, some might even like Darnold, although no one knows Darnold. But so forget Darnold. But so, you know what I'm saying? We know Brandon Ayuk has liked Trey Lance for a long time. We know that George Kittle is freaking smitten with Brock Purdy. There's going to be factions. You can't let this go too long. Eventually, you got to pick a guy and go with it.
That's the potential to divide your locker room is another.
I mean, you've been doing it for the last 2 years. Yeah, like it got to stop eventually.
Yeah, and also I kind of wonder at some point maybe Trey's just like, hey, you know what? I want to be here, but I need to play. And if I'm not gonna, if you really want to go with him, go with him. But let me go somewhere else. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how he feels about it.